quite shocking, like knowing what has happened to Vanuatu. So,
large-scale alienation of land from customary ownership.
And we belong to the land. The land gives us everything.
It provides everything that we cannot buy with money.
In Melanesia, maybe I'd say 80% of the population in Melanesia, they survive of their land, not on money.
It's the same kind of push that's coming from AusAid and World Bank and ADB and all the agencies and our bilateral partners to so-called free up land for development is happening across the region. This kind of meeting is important to develop some regional responses to those regional realities that are driving in many ways what's happening in Vanuatu.
It's not a like PNG issue, or it's not a Vanuatu issue now. Because if you have the Australian government which has a Pacific aid policy on land reform, if someone is giving the money, you think also want to agenda behind by supporting financially.
When they talked about how people came in and started acquiring land and the landowners are sort of marginalized back without having a real sense of ownership of the land, I was really shocked about the situation, because here in Papua New Guinea we still own the land, no matter where we are and who we are. I'm a woman, but I feel proud to say that when I go back to my father's village, I am respected there, because I'm from that area. Even though I'm married to another province, when I go back, I still feel the sense of belonging in my father's land. The placenta is always buried back in the ground, which tells us that we belong to the ground. And that's our stronghold, that's our blood, that's our life. And nobody can take that away from us. And with this land registration thing that's coming along, we have to be very careful, because it's coming in all different forms and different names.
BLG's come up with this initiative of getting like-minded organizations within Melanesia and Pacific region to come together so that they could talk about what they could do. I think in some years back in the 80s, 70s, there has been some kind of movement with regards to organizing Melanesian people together to talk about issues of mutual concern. But this is a new initiative where it is kind of focused right into land issues, which is basically the real issue concerned with Pacific peoples.
Under the Lands Act, Section 10, Section 11, it's called lease back. Customary landowner leases the land to the government immediately gives a leasehold title back to the customary landowner in respect of their own land. They don't have to pay rent. They can essentially then do what they like with that lease. They can sublease it if they want to.
People coming in or investors coming in to get land, they don't know our customs, they don't know what land means to us. And a lot of people, some people do not have a lot, they are not literate, they don't understand what the consequences of lease will be. And they just, sell off, they lease out the land. And then later on they find out that the decisions that they were made were not really favoring them. It was mostly in favor of the investors.
Development has become a very terrible word because it means it can be used in a way that covers up so much hidden agendas and mainly agendas to do with recolonization and people coming in. These days development means basically foreign investment, and the kind of development we need in Melanesia and in Vanuatu is locally controlled development, locally controlled enhancement of our life opportunities, better cash incomes, better education, better health outcomes, improved food security, that kind of thing. Mm-hmm. It's only possible for landowners in Melanesia to get those outcomes if they continue to maintain control of the land, because as soon as they engage with Western laws and land alienation, they're getting into deep water in terms of not being able to understand what these laws are and how they, what their rights are in relation to these laws.
Well, AusAid and NZAid, they're putting in a lot of money to this land reform program, and we've had they seem to be playing a role where they want to leave everything to the government. The government decides what to do, and then they just put in the money. But then there's a lot of money there, and there is very little consultation from the government, or if there is any consultation at all, it doesn't get a wider audience from the people who own the land. It's not how we make land work, but the land has always provided for us. So, in other words, the way we see things is not we make land work, but the land works for us.
In Papua New Guinea, there are lots of changes that are happening in terms of land laws that our people do not really understand about, that they are made at some levels and they are not, people are not aware of, and that these new laws do not fall in place with the customary laws that we have in terms of land. And in terms of customary laws, I believe to make good laws in terms of land, it should build or it should add value to the laws that we have in traditional society. Outsiders should not just come in with their own way of thinking and saying we would want to help Papua New Guinea unless we do request their support, and it is better if they allow us to do things by ourselves, and whatever we cannot do, maybe it's on our own side to say yes, we need help in these areas.
I understand without more food, about 85% of food, the world's food, on the table. And for PNG, if you take the PNV up the road, 85% of those people, the sellers are women. We look at it in a modern context. Land has been thought of as blocks of land, parcels of land that can be given away or traded for something. Women see land as a whole. Land culminates life, everything about life, the spirituality of land. Food comes from land, everything about life comes from the land. So women see this as a whole, not little portions that can be given away.
With land, men cannot make any decisions in terms of giving away any land until they hear from the women.
I think the great thing about this meeting is that we're actually not just talking about it, but we're looking at what we can do about it. Because I think a lot of us have just been talking about it rather than doing anything about it. So the best thing about this meeting is actually seeing, bringing the issues into light and being able to know or make up plans of how to go about it. Yes, I think that's the main important thing for me right now about this meeting.
I think we've set up something today, which I think is going to be. It is going to help. It's going to give us. Help us a lot in addressing these land issues in Melanesia.
Make sure we unite, or stand together. We speak with one voice, and only then we can come out strong in terms of, really standing for our landowners and ourselves as indigenous people of the island nations, so that we fight for one cause and we come out, in a win-win situation.
Ya pasta ugagayan Taramumana tinatap Aparara Tabola ponya kimbe Ya pasta ugagayan Taramumana tinatap Aparara Tabola ponya